Ragasa moving away after causing flooding and damage in Hong Kong. The outer rim of the typhoon lashes Taiwan, leaving 17 dead after a lake overflows. And Donald Trump addresses the UN General Assembly and later says he believes Ukraine could retake all its land. Hello and welcome to TVB News. You're watching Pearl. The Hong Kong Observatory issued the number 8 southeast gale or storm signal at 1:20 p.m., replacing the hurricane signal number 10, which had been in force for some 10 hours. While severe Typhoon Ragasa is moving away from Hong Kong, the observatory is going to further downgrade the storm warning to the strong wind signal number 3 at 8:20 p.m. Dubbed the strongest tropical storm on Earth this year, at 6 p.m. Ragasa was about 250 kilometers west-southwest of Hong Kong. It's moving westward at 22 kilometers per hour away from the city. The forecaster says the city's weather will be persistently adverse today with frequent heavy downpours and thunderstorms.
Ragasa, the strongest typhoon on Earth so far this year, swept through Hong Kong overnight, leaving a trail of destruction across many districts. The rolling gates of some shops in Macau were bent out of shape and dropped to the ground. A claw machine fell out from the shop. Trees were destroyed by the storm. In Hunan, a 4-meter tall tree collapsed on Princess Margaret Road. While no one was injured, the incident damaged a nearby building. At the Two Moon Light Rail station, a tree over 10 meters tall became another victim of Ragasa. Parts of the tree fell on the light rail cable. Super Typhoon Ragasa started moving away from Hong Kong by late morning, but at the Tsim Sha Tsui Pier, the wind retained a strong force while the rain was heavy from time to time. Some tourists decided to take a stroll along the pier.
Yeah, we were a little bit unsure, but obviously everything's built very well in Hong Kong for this type of weather, and to tell you the truth, overnight I didn't even notice or hear anything.
As of 3 p.m., a total of 90 people were injured because of the storm and were sent to hospital. The government received nearly 900 reports of collapsed trees and 4 landslides.
The observatory reminds the public to stay on alert as the weather will continue to be unstable with frequent heavy squally showers and thunderstorms. Memos 9, TVB News.
The observatory says storm surges have led to a general rise of over 1.5 meters in water levels over the territory. The water level recorded at Victoria Harbour was once about 3.4 meters above chart datum. The Drainage Services Department has received 16 flooding reports so far, including one at a luxury hotel next to Ocean Park. Jackie Lin has details.
The dramatic moment was captured in this video. A man was swept off his feet by the incoming torrent. The incident occurred in the middle of the night at the seafront lobby of the Fullerton Ocean Park Hotel, with water reaching calf deep. After daybreak, the impact caused by the storm surge even more salient, with rubble, glass shards, and mud strewn across the ground. This hotel guest says the hotel has cordoned off the affected entrance with flood barriers in advance, but even the barriers were swept away, and that's why the glass door was smashed. The hotel says there were no reports of injuries to guests or employees, and it has stepped up cleanup efforts. Also being inundated were the footpaths near the Xinwen River in Shatin, with its bicycle track fully submerged. Flood-prone Hengfa Chun in the Eastern District relentlessly lashed by seawater. Around noon, even the appearance of an alleged water spout. Flooding too in the nearby MTR station. This resident says they heard the howling winds battering the windows through the night. The coast of Chengquano was also devastated by Ragasa. They include the waterfront park and restaurants with some tables and chairs drifting in the water.
Everything that we have inside is custom made, and that's 4 to 6 weeks to make it. We end up losing a lot of time as well.
Another Chengquano park was also turned into a swimming pool due to the storm. In Saigon, multiple yachts also reeled under Ragasa. Even after the water level gradually lowers, some remain half submerged. Jacqueline, TVB News.
Flooding occurred in Taiwan under Super Typhoon Ragasa. At noon, the water level raised to 3.3 meters or more above chart datum. The water-covered Tai-O Creek pedestrian bridge. A flood prevention gate was installed. Staff from the Drainage Services Department arrived to inspect the situation. The water later extended to inner streets. A rubbish bin was seen floating. Also smashed by strong winds was the Hang Seng Bank headquarters building. Glass shards strewn across the roads and pedestrian walk near the building on Connaught Road Central. The gate was also damaged, with signs warning passersby to stay away from the area. MTR's open outdoor rail section suspended operations while the hurricane signal number 10 was in force, but a resumption of services has been delayed under T8 because of fallen trees and debris on exposed rail sections, with damaged cables and power trips reported. With the downgrade of the typhoon signal to T8, many workers rushed to the MTR in Kowloon Bay, only to find that services remained suspended. MTR says it will take longer for open-air rail sections to resume services because of fallen trees. These include parts of the East Rail Line and the Light Rail. Macau issued the typhoon signal number 8 at 4 p.m. The enclave saw several neighborhoods being flooded. Jackie Lin reports.
The astronomical high tide coupled with a storm surge brought by Ragasa have ratcheted up the water level in Macau after daybreak. Near Casada de Boteo, the entire road was submerged, with thigh-high water depths. The Fire Services Department deployed rubber boats for patrols. This resident says he is looking for a shelter, but he doesn't know where it is. Some hotel employees and guests were trapped on the upper floors before being extricated by firefighters. By noon, Macau's flood-prone black spot inner harbor saw the highest water level exceeding 1.5 meters, with water gushing out of drains and debris floating across streets. This shop owner says he came to check the aftermath as he had lost over $1 million worth of goods during Typhoon Hato in 2017. With several low-lying neighborhoods being inundated, Macau authorities suspended power supply in waterlogged areas to protect power facilities and public safety in case of electricity-related hazards. Jacqueline, TVB News.
17 people have died in eastern Taiwan, with 17 others missing after a barrier lake overflowed during torrential rain brought on by Ragasa, sending a wall of water into a town. A bridge also collapsed in Guangfu Township of Hualien County. The barrier lake, formed by landslides triggered by earlier heavy rain in the sparsely populated east of Taiwan, burst its banks mid-afternoon on Tuesday, sending a wall of water into the neighborhood. Local authorities have called for an inquiry into what went wrong with evacuation orders. Taiwan has been lashed by the outer rim of Ragasa. In other news, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke for almost 1 hour at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. He praised his administration and the U.S., saying, "No country comes close to America," and criticized the United Nations and its lack of action. Afterwards, he shocked the world by changing his stance on the Russia-Ukraine war, saying Kiev could take back the 20% of the country in the east, which Moscow has captured since its invasion in 2022. Nazvi Karim with more.
As U.S. President Donald Trump headed to New York, the White House told delegates to expect a major speech. Though some commentators called it unhinged and embarrassing, Trump's 56-minute talk had the delegates listening, in shock if not in admiration. Trump's opening remarks were self-congratulatory.
1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble. But today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. And there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth. This is indeed the golden age of America.
He then launched into UN, claiming credit for ending 7 wars without the body's help and complaining about earlier having had to walk up a broken escalator and a teleprompter that didn't work.
I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle, and then a teleprompter that didn't work.
Trump went on to ask the UN what exactly it does.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. Thank you very much, everybody.
His most shocking comments came after he left and after a meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, with Trump making a complete U-turn on the Russia-Ukraine war. Having long said Ukraine may need to make concessions to Russia over territory, Trump tweeted on Truth Social that Kyiv may be able to militarily take back land from Russia with NATO and European help. He said Russia's economy is in big trouble and allies could further weaken Moscow by stopping oil purchases and more sanctions. Zelensky hailed Trump's major shift, while Russia's UN Deputy Envoy, Dmitry Polyansky, shrugged it off, saying, "Don't get so excited about every tweet." Nazri Karim, TVB News.
In his speech to the UN General Assembly, U.S. President Donald Trump condemned moves by Western powers to recognize a Palestinian state. He also mentioned Iran in his address, saying he had sent the country's supreme leader a letter pledging full cooperation in exchange for Iran suspending its nuclear program. This as Iran's supreme leader rejected the direct negotiations with Washington over the issue. Tracy Furness has more.
Addressing the United Nations General Assembly in New York Tuesday, U.S. President Donald Trump said he had sent Iran's supreme leader a letter.
Starting with the nation of Iran, my position is very simple. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never be allowed to possess the most dangerous weapon. That's why, shortly after taking office, I sent the so-called supreme leader a letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region.
On the conflict between Israel and Hamas, Trump demanded the Palestinian group immediately release all hostages, living and dead, that it is holding in Gaza, saying the time for partial release is over.
I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now.
The US has criticized several European nations, including allies, for recognizing a Palestinian state, which Trump calls rewarding Hamas for the October 7th, 2023 attacks on Israel that sparked the current conflict.
We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, which the United
Tracy
States,
Furness, TVB News.
Has many.
Still ahead, all flights at Hong Kong International Airport remain cancelled today. The local yacht industry calls for clearer guidelines in cross-border movement of yachts. And efforts to promote a healthier diet in Hunan's hot and spicy dishes. Welcome back. Because of Ragasa, all flights remain cancelled today, at least until midnight, with dozens of travelers stranded at Hong Kong International Airport. The airport authority expects it will take 2 days to resume normal operations after some 1,000 flights were disrupted. Samantha Lee has details.
With Ragasa barreling through the city, flights at Hong Kong International Airport has ground to a halt. As shown on the flight display, all flights from noon to nearly 8 p.m. have been cancelled or delayed. The airport authority says as operations will resume in phases starting 6 a.m. Thursday, the airport will likely be very busy in order to handle some 1,000 flights being disrupted between Tuesday and Wednesday. Some tourists say they have stranded at the airport for 2 days.
Just sitting and then maybe walking, sleep in the chair, it's like that.
Don't stay in here where I can stay. And I can't walk to the hotels.
To facilitate passengers staying overnight at the airport authority said it will consider adding shower facilities for layover passengers. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
In the policy address, the government has set its sights on boosting Hong Kong's yacht economy. The yacht sector, meanwhile, hopes the government will hold discussions with the mainland to standardize the entry and exit procedures for yachts in the Greater Bay Area. Jackie Lin with details.
The latest policy address has announced the construction of about 1,100 berths at the former Lama Quarry, the Typhoon Shelter in Aberdeen, the waterfront site of Hong Kong Station, and the new Airport City Yacht Bay. Requirements for yachts visiting Hong Kong are also relaxed, removing the need to reserve berths at private yacht clubs or piers, and allowing freer navigation in Hong Kong and anchoring at designated waters. Welcoming the move, the yacht sector believes that the new measures can attract high-end tourists and drive the overall tourism industry. But they hope Hong Kong could learn from Macau, which sets out guidelines that clearly spell out the procedures and the administration fees needed for cross-border movement of yachts between the enclave and Zhuhai. Lawmaker Benson Look suggests the government set up a working group to follow up, as yacht economy-related policies involve at least 4 policy bureaus. He also proposes choosing cities such as Shenzhen as a pilot zone. Jackie Lim, TVB News.
Premier Li Qiang said that as a responsible major developing country, China will not seek any new special and differential treatment, or SDT, in the current and future World Trade Organization negotiations. Li made the remarks at a high-level meeting on the Global Development Initiative held by China on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. Washington had previously argued there could be no meaningful WTO reform until China and other major economies relinquish the SDT granted to developing countries. Beijing's announcement comes after months of trade tensions with the U.S. over sweeping tariffs imposed by Washington and retaliatory measures by China. The WTO Director General applauded China's leadership on the issue. And Hunan's spicy cuisine is becoming a popular trend in Hong Kong. The provincial government is launching a 3-year plan to promote a healthier diet with reduced oil and salt in classic dishes. Sakura Ip reports from Hunan.
In Hunan, chili dominates nearly every dish, from steamed fish head to fried pork. These classic recipes typically use generous amount of oil and salt to enhance their bold flavors. To encourage healthier eating habits, the provincial government endorsed a plan in late May. This restaurant is one of the participants of the scheme and has seen a positive response from customers. There has been a 40% increase in orders for dishes cooked with less oil and salt, as for many, health is now a priority. The The restaurant has invited a master chef to oversee the cooking.
现在我们觉得的像
Chef Liu Bo says he will add more fresh red pepper to the chili when preparing the steamed fish head, balancing traditional flavors with a healthier approach. According to Hunan's Center of Disease Control and Prevention, locals consume an average of 13 grams of salt daily, more than double the amount of the WHO recommended limit, and over 40 grams of oil, which can lead to obesity and cardiovascular diseases. However, for tourists, the bold flavors of Hunan cuisine are exactly what they're looking for. From stinky tofu to trendy crayfish, their love for spicy food runs deep.
不会，我们觉得这是长沙的特色吧。
Mr. Du from Lanzhou remarked that Changsha's bold flavors are perfect with rice. Another tourist from Lanzhou, Ms. Tian, described the taste as divine. Ms. Lei, a visitor from Hangzhou, expressed her preference for spicier flavors as they are a signature of Changsha.
Porter Street is one of the most popular attractions to food lovers. Visitors can find all kinds of local snacks and street food here in this neighborhood. Sakurib, TVB News, Hunan.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.